As a matter of fact, there are about 280 Upanishads which are been described by several scholars. And of those 280, about 108 have been accepted as the most authentic texts of Upanishads. And of that, 10 are called major. It goes like this: Isha Kena Kata Prashna Mundaka Mandukyatitirihi Aitareyam Chasandogyam Bruhadaranyakam Tatha. Some clarification. These are called Mukhya only because Shankaracharya in the 8th century commented upon those. But I can assure you, having had a chance to browse to many of them, there are several which are not in these 10, which are just as good, if not better than some of those 10 included. And the key is the message is exactly the same. And the beauty of it is we are privileged to read scholars who describe the same value for each one of us to make an integral part of our personality. And just to make it very clear, every Veda at the end is called end portion of Veda, called Vedanta. And rather than end of Veda, I prefer to call it essence of Vedas. So to me, Upanishads are the essence of Vedas. And just for clarification, of those 10 that Shankaracharya selected, one came from Rigveda, Aitariya. From Samaved, he picked out Kena and Chandogya. From Yajurved, from Shukla Yajurved, his choice was Ishavasya Upanishad and Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. And from Krishna Yajurved, he picked out Katha and Taittiriya. And he picked up from Atharva Veda, Mundaka, Mandukya, and Prashna. And what we have done in the last few months is discuss Ganpati Upanishad, which is a part of Atharva Veda. And Kaivalya Veda we're going to discuss is also a part of Atharva Veda. So there's a kind of interesting fight between the two Vedas, if you want to call it. Arun, if you take the version from Atharva Veda, there are 24 verses. And if you take connection with some people recognize with the Yajur, the Krishna Yajurveda, they include 26 verses. But that's just a technical discussion on that particular topic. Anytime we have talked about Upanishad, there are some people who have been in the participants over the last several weeks, and some of who have joined today may not have had a chance to understand the meaning of Upanishad. For that reason, I'll go over quickly what Upanishad really means. Upanishad basically has two prefixes called Upa and Ni. And the verb is Sad, which becomes Shad. And as we described in the past, the verb becomes a noun through a process. And because of that, that verb has got different meanings, and prefixes have different meanings. So if we take the Upa means near to you. And when we talk about near is a relative term. And if you take the relative terms, I can see the laptop is closer to me than you friends who are across the laptop at your respective homes. Piece of paper in front of me is close to me. My body is closer to me than that. My mind is closer, but my Atman, the soul, is the closest. So the subject matter reflects it. The closest is Upa, that being Atma. And Ni means, can be called Nishchita Jnanam, that is a definitive knowledge, a certain knowledge, which I'll summarize at the very end of this part of the discussion as to what I'm talking about, Nishchita Jnana. And as I mentioned to you, the three different key meanings of Sat being Visaranam, that means loosening. Our Sadhanam means total destruction. And Gati is Gamanam. So the principle of Upanishad is it is able to destroy the challenges, the negative things that we have in our life, and bring us closest to the knowledge of our Atman. So that is the basic principle of Upanishad. So this Upanishad is a ascertained knowledge that leads me to a sense of limitless happiness and allows me to overcome the sense of inadequacy and happiness. So Atyantika Dukha Nivrutti and Parama Ananda Prapti, that is the purpose of this knowledge. And this ascertained knowledge is free from any doubt, free from any vagueness, and free from any error. This basically tells us, who am I? Mai kaun hu? And that allows me to understand fully my true nature. And once we understand the true nature, we can come to live it. We learn through these teachings that we exist. I'm eternal. I'm Sat. I'm sentient. I have consciousness and awareness. I'm Chit. I'm limitless happiness, Ananda. So I'm Sat Chidananda. So reality speaking, this essence of Veda described in each of the Upanishad is basically brings us back to remember that we always knew and had it, but had forgotten. It's called Praptasya Prapti, attainment of what is already attained. Similar to finding the glasses on your forehead, find the car keys in your pocket that you're looking all over. That is exactly what Praptasya Prapti, and that is the meaning Upanishad. Told you many times several stories about the story of a 10th man, but to make it brief, I would not go on to telling about a half a dozen stories to remind us as to who we really are. Then coming back to the topic of discussion this morning, Kaivalya Upanishad is a homogeneous Upanishad which brings in together a fact. There is only one entity which is indivisible. That means if we take the God, the Jiva like us, God, Jiva, and this creation are basically one. That is the basic principle of the Kaivalya Upanishad. And it's interesting that we are studying this Upanishad on the day of Mahashivratri is getting celebrated it this weekend, or celebrating it this weekend. And that is also recognized as a Shaiva Upanishad when connected with Krishna Yajurveda. And it just as well be getting started on this particular day. To quickly an overview for all the 24 verses. The first one or two verses set the scene for the Upanishad. In the first verse, Ashulayan asks questions and Brahmaji answers the questions. He elaborates his answer in third through fifth verse. We learn about meditation on Lord Shiva from sixth to ninth verse. We learn about Om and meditation on Om on verses 10 to 15. From 16 to 17 verses, we learn that Shiva and Brahman are right within us. And the detailed description of state of liberation is given with verses 18 through 24. The last one being Shata Rudriyam, a summary of all the mantras that you can sing quietly to get the maximum benefit from this particular. Anytime we start Upanishad, we have to start the Upanishad with the prayers. And the prayers pertain to a specific Upanishad or the Vedas that we have. Now, this being a part of Atharva Veda, the Shanti mantras are slightly different than what we have been singing before. So I'll sing them first. I'll take time to go through the meaning of each of the Shanti mantra. It goes like this. Om Bhadram Karneve Shunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashyemaksha Piryayatra Stirairangais Tushtamausastanuvi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayu Om Swastina Indro Vruddashrava Swastina Usha Vishwaveda Swastina Staksho Arishtamevi Swastino Burhaspatir Dadatu Om Shantish Shantish Shanti. Just today we should take a few minutes to understand the meaning of this Shanti mantra. And from here onwards, when we meet every Sunday, we'll just sing the mantras, but hopefully, keep on reflecting on the meaning that we're going to discuss today. The first phrase is Om Bhadram Karnevihi Shunuyama Devaha. Oh, dear gods, may we hear only auspicious sounds by our ears. Bhadram, auspicious. Karnevi, by the ears. Shunuyama, may we hear only the auspicious sounds by our ears. What it means is, in this day and age of internet and telephones, let's only hear the auspicious alone and not the gossip or unwanted conversations. It also gives us karnevihi, is plural. That means we want to hear by both ears, indicating a full attention, stereo hearing, hearing completely. Karnevihi. And it also reminds us that if you're going to hear auspicious, we should preferably speak only what is auspicious. Because the first person to hear what you say is yourself only. So if you say something auspicious, the first person who's affected by your words is yourself. So you have to be careful as to what you say. And again, only when we say with this positive way, without having the faith, Shraddha, would not be able to listen very carefully. So you have to make sure that you hear only auspicious. Then Badram Pashyemaksha Bir Yajatraha. O worshipful one, that means Badram, or O gods, may we see only auspicious sights by our eyes. Before we talked about auspicious thing we should hear, may we only see auspicious sights by our eyes. May our eyes only see what is auspicious. That means it's reminding us that we should have an insight to see the auspiciousness in each and everything, in all people. And when you do that, you see the best of each of the entities. And if we happen to see something which is inauspicious, it's an opportunity for you to turn into an auspicious. So rather than trying to find the defects in other people, look at the positive attitudes and qualities in others, and let me see that. And if somebody needs help, it's a privilege to go and help them. We so far heard about maybe hear only auspicious sound by ears, and maybe it's only auspicious sights by our eyes. Stirai angaihi tushtumau sastanuvi vyashema devahitam yat ayu. With healthy body and able limbs, stirai angaihi, maybe live our life engaged in the good of the gods, praising the gods' glory. That means what we should be doing is we should be doing the work of the God, that means through our hands, to the service of humanity. Because as we were giving the highlights in the beginning, we are no different. The creation is no different than God. So if you want to serve the God, the best way is to serve the humanity. Quietly perform the God's work with a smile on your face, happiness on your heart, without blaming anyone, and trying to find out any defects in others, instead helping them. Then Swastina Indro Vruddha. May Lord Indra, which is the ancient renowned king of gods, if you want to call it, being the deity, what is his deity of? He's in charge of hands, so grasping. So may we have the wisdom and strength to do the things by our own hands. So you're asking for the blessings from Lord Indra, so that we do the things with our hands which are good and done correctly and appropriately. Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha. May Sun God, Lord Sun, the all-knowing Sun, give us the blessings, because the Sun is able to enlighten our mind, make us intelligent. So it's illuminator. Without that, we won't be surviving in this creation. He's the deity of intellect. And also because of the presence of sunlight, we remain healthy, just like the animal kingdom as well as the plant kingdom is healthy because of the sun. Without the sun, the snow would not melt from the mountains to bring in the water. Without the presence of sun, the water would not go into clouds and bring us the rain. So it's very important to recognize the value of the sun. And this day and age, I hope Umesh is on the line. The solar panels, the kind of solar energy we try to use is very important. Without that, we won't be able to harvest it and enrich ourselves without trying to use the fossil fluid. May the Lord Vayu, Taraksho is either Garuda or Vayu. That means something that which moves very quickly, give us the blessings and save us from harm. Arishta Nemi, prevent us from remove all the obstacles. So basically, let that Garuda protect us, or the moving Vayu protect us. they both of them move freely in the skies so that our journey will be free of obstacles and we reach our goals. And it sometimes extended is to let us be free from negativity and that flows around the world. And I use sometimes shed repus in that clarification. And those are kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, and matsarya. So let me be free of that. And then swastino brahaspati dadatu. May the Brahaspati, the Guru of gods, be blissful to us, give us the blessing, to give us the strength to the mind, peace to the mind, and give us the intelligence and the right knowledge. So, and ultimately, we say Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is basically asking peace from three different entities that we face in our life: Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. Adi Daivik is the divine forces beyond our occasionally knowledge and things on which we don't have any control, like earthquakes, tsunamis, lightnings, whatever you want to call it. Adi Bhautik are issues related to the world around us, whether it be the barking dogs or noisy neighbors or all the sound and light pollution that we have, Adi Bhautik. And Adhyatmik is pertaining to ourselves, body, mind, and intellect, the problem that we have within. We're asking for the peace from these entities. So far, we have concluded the prayers, Shanti mantras, pertaining to this Atharva Veda. And from here onwards, we'll be only singing it every Sunday. Then we finally come to the opening of the Upanishad today. And it starts with a simple verse, Atha Ashvalayano Bhagavantam Parameshtin Upasametya Uvacha. So, Parameshtin Upasametya. But before that, the first word is Atha. Atha is in the sense that not any Tom, Dick, and Harry can go to Brahmaji and ask to teach the Brahmajnan. So basically, he was a scholar recognized as a sage in Rig Veda. He had done the groundwork. He had mastered the sadhana chatushtaya. And I'm sure we have talked about sadhana chatushtaya before. I'm sure Naina recognizes what I'm talking about. Naina, if you remember, we talked about Vivek, Vairagya, Samadhi Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam. And Samadhi Sampatti is basically Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Manonigra, Shraddha, Samadhan, Chitta Ekagrata, all those entities. And of course, last but not least, the Mumukshutvam. So unless you're grounded in this basic understanding, you don't approach the professor, chairman of the department, asking Brahmaji to come and please teach me. So Atha has the implication that Ashwarayan was well trained and well grounded in understanding the basic things. And then he comes and says, Parameshtin Upasametya. That means he goes up to Brahmaji, and who is Param Tishtitam, Parameshtin, one who is established in the highest seat of knowledge. So he's not any average person, but is Brahmaji who's him. And he is one who's teaching the most important wisdom, Nigudam, basically, please teach me, which is the most highest of the secret. and basically, and asking him, teach me without any delay, achirat apoya, without delay, swiftly, give me something that will destroy and discard all the negative things in life. And vidvan parat param yati. The person is able to reach the ultimate level of enlightenment. So it's basically, he's asking from Brahmaji to teach him the ultimate knowledge that can come. So when we're talking about his preparation, I also mentioned the sadhana chatushtaya, but a person like him, Ashla, is a recognized teacher, sage from Rigveda, but in order to reach the chairman of the department like Brahmaji, to gain the knowledge, he has to be well trained in Vedas and Vedangas. Like, for example, Narada coming to his teacher Sanat Kumar to learn the ultimate knowledge. And what are the Vedangas? Those are Shiksha, that is phonetics, Vyakarana, grammar, Nirukta, etymology, Jyotish, or astronomy or astrology, Kalpa, science of rituals, and Upavedas include Ayurveda, science of health with the herbs, Gandharva Yoga, some fine arts, and Arthaveda, economics, politics, and administration. And for some people, they take extra credit to Dhanurveda, like archery and war. So these are the preparations that somebody has to have in order to get it. But at the same time, doesn't mean that everyone takes all those courses. You take the specific courses, and then only you go for the courses that the chairman, courses which are, say, more than 400. I mean, I'm not talking 101, 201, talking about 401 onwards, talking about the chairman's level. So he was well trained, had finished the undergraduate education, and he comes to Brahmaji and says, teach me something which can take me to the highest level of knowledge and enlighten. And the funny part about it is that as a typical teacher, and we're coming towards the end for morning discussion, he says, Tasmai sa uvacha, Pitama said, Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogat away. So student is asking me, Adhi, please teach me. And Brahmaji is saying, away, go and learn this. So he said, teach me. He said, go and learn it. But remember, in just one comment, he gave the key to entire wisdom, Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana. You do it together systematically, may you learn. When we're talking about learning from the teacher is not the one who teaches us everything. And that education comes at different stages in your life. Now, that education comes from, I'm sure I've quoted many times amongst the friends in the discussions, Acharyat Padam Adatte. Padam Shishya Swamedhaya. Sabrahmacharibhya Padam. Padam Kala Kramenacha. The teacher initiates you with giving you foundation knowledge, Acharyat Padamadatte. 1/4 of knowledge is by the teaching at the universities. When you get diploma, that's true. But really speaking, that's where education starts. You get an MD degree from the university, and trust me, that at that time, the student thinks that he or she knows the best. And when they come to real life, we inform them, okay, you're starting at the ground level. So you're just getting started. So Acharya will teach you 1/4 of knowledge, but 1/4, as everyone knows in the discussion group today, that is not complete. It's 1/4. Padam Shishya Smomedaya. So 1/4, the student learns through his own efforts. That means he meditates, reflects, uses resources, goes to the library, reads articles, reads journals, remains up to date. But he continues to learn and advance his understanding. So 1/4 comes from the teacher, 1/4 comes from Vedya, meditation, reflection, all that stuff. Sa brahmacharibhya padam. From fellow beings who will be attending the class or around you in your specialty are able to communicate with you. You teach them some, you learn from them. So as a process, you get 1/4 of the wisdom through them. And as you continue to grow up, you learn the rest of it. Padam kala kramenacha. And remaining 1/4, you learn through life experiences. So your education is complete as you continue your life, but the groundwork, foundational work, is done by the teacher. So Ashlan, as he comes to Brahmaji, is asking him to do the foundational work, even though he had gone through the undergraduate education, he had finished the bachelor's degrees and master's degree, and he had arrived at the Brahmaji, telling me, teach me how to get the final doctorate. So that is where he's coming and asking. I'm going to stop at this stage because I want to get comments from the group this morning and have discussion from there on. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Shashi. Very good.
Thank
Is
you.
it appropriate to share with you
Huh?
my understanding of Kaivalya Upanishad? I've studied it quite a while ago.
Uh-huh.
And is it okay if I just summarize what I have understood?
Maybe we should stick to the discussion for this morning
Okay.
because the thing is the whole thing that we'll at the end, the last session, you can do that. So do it.
Yeah. The one thing that struck me
Uh-huh.
in the Shanti Mantra was here was a realized soul
Uh-huh.
who knew what
Uh-huh.
Brahman was,
Uh-huh.
but he wanted to confirm
Uh-huh.
from Brahmaji himself
Uh-huh.
whether his understanding was
Uh-huh.
complete or incomplete.
Uh-huh.
And that shows to me the humility of the student
Uh-huh.
when he approaches the teacher.
Uh-huh.
The student says, I think I know, but
Uh-huh.
I want your guidance, your
Uh-huh.
confirmation.
Sure.
And that is very important. Very often, when we talk to the elders or the teachers,
Yeah.
we take a superior attitude.
Exactly.
I know everything.
Yeah.
What do your gray hair and gray beard know?
Yeah.
And so that I think is very important for young people to remember. When you approach a teacher,
Mhm.
it is not to question the knowledge of the teacher, but it is to learn from
Exactly.
the knowledge of the teacher. So
Uh,
that is a thing that I think was
Very, very,
striking in the
very,
open Shanti Mantra.
absolutely. Exactly. The thing is, kind of interesting words that I will quote for you that might be interesting. Shravanayapi bahurbhiyo no labhya. He, that means the self, of whom many are not able to hear. We're talking about Atman, the self of whom many of them are not able to hear or learn. Shrunvantopi baho yam na vidu, of whom many, even they hear from him, Atman, do not comprehend. Ascharyo vakta kushalosya labdha. Wonderful is the man when found who's able to teach the self. Ascharyo nyata Kushala Nushishta. Kushala Anushishta. Wonderful is he who comprehends the self when taught by an able teacher. This is Prasanna, this is from Katha Upanishad. So when you asking the teacher to confirm what he has learned, so that's what happens. He comes to the enlightened teacher and is get okay that am I okay? Am I understanding is clear? So you get a little pat on the back, say, yes, you understood it. And that is finally what we call Shiksha Guru, Prasanna. So even if you may have learned some different ways on your own, you still need to get a clarification, confirmation from a person who has gone through a traditional teaching. When you talk about Guru, you don't have to necessarily spend time in ashrama for so many years. And that's what exactly Swami Dayananda told me. I said, I've not taken Diksha from you, but why are you doing this to me? He said, Diksha Guru was last time for you. I'm giving you Shiksha Guru, so I'm going to give it. So that's what exactly what you need to do. And you're absolutely right, Prasanna. Thank you.
I have a comment. I really enjoyed your explanation of the Shanti Mantra, especially when you said initially that you're entreating God to maybe see only auspiciousness, see it, hear it, etc. So it is our own filtering mechanism, maybe that takes out the filter things out that are negative or hurt us or whatever. So that's a very important thing. And then you went on to say about the sun, how important that is in our lives, the Vayu. And so anyway, I have to thank you because I've always thought of Shanti mantras or something to just calm you down, but it has some very nice explanation of why that is so. Anyway, thank you for that.
Now, every Veda has a different Shanti mantra. So this is for Atharva Veda, you're right. But again, you have the value of Anasuya. You don't get, otherwise, if you see people who go to a beautiful home, only thing that they see something is not quite right. Rather than appreciating the beauty of that place, as a matter of fact, even it is perfectly right, Naina. Mother always puts a little black thing on the face because you don't want to be perfect. Otherwise, people will get jealous. Drishtalagil, remember? So rather than pointing out about the little black on your face, accept the part of beauty, admire what is great. Something to learn from it. I mean, the Shanti Mantra are so educational. One thing is you have to have a chance to understand, assimilate, and practice. So thank you.
My question really is about Kaivalya. So on one hand, I see the word Keval in Kaivalya. So Kaivalya might be the noun from Keval, derived from Kevals, Keval meaning only, right? Or alone, or so. And then Kaivalya also I've heard it relates to moksha. So how does that journey or that process what is that process that Keval is derived from Keval, meaning moksha, kind of also, at least in Jainism, I've heard. So your comment on that, Keval and Kaivalya.
I think I did comment on it. Keval is only one. Jiva, Jagat, and God is only one. That is Keval. Every Upanishad, Prabhat, tells the same thing. So this is nothing new. So every Upanishad is basically telling you are it. So it is like reading the same thing over and over again. And depending upon who teacher is, he or she will tell various stories, set up various entities, and explain at the end that you are it, Tat Tvamasi. Now, unlike many other Upanishads, like Katha Upanishad, there's a story set up. Chandogya Upanishad, story set up. Here Ashla comes, directly meets Brahmadev, and teach me. There's not a question of setting up a stage like Kathopanishad, Nachiketa coming to his place, Yajna, the father's place. He comes, he's put in the fire, arrives there, and he gets a boon, and he asks questions, and Yama teaches. So story has been set up. Here is a guy who has finished his bachelor's, master's, and as Prasanna rightly said, he had more or less gotten everything by George. He finally arrives at the guy who is the ultimate teacher, Brahmaji, one who created, who has ultimately Parameshtan. He says, please teach me. But look at the humility on the part of him. Despite his enormous knowledge and solid foundation with Vedangas, he comes with Samhita in his hand in a mood of being a student rather than the typical American style where they come, what is this professor going to teach me? Putting the shoes on the table and asking questions arrogantly. Here is a guy who is trained than most of the teachers in the other Upanishads, but he comes with an enormous sense of humility and asks Brahmaji if he was understanding. He wants to learn. He didn't even say that I understand this. He said, please teach me what it is. I think that is the kind of attitude one needs to have when you really want to learn, because amazing is, you say, Krishna said, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. The knowledge is good, but is not coupled with humility. It becomes darpa. It goes up in smoke. It's wasted. It's spoiled. It's like a meal spoiled by mixing with something inappropriate. So Vidya has to be coupled with Vinay. So when, as Prasanna beautifully described, Ashla and coming to Brahmaji, please teach me. He doesn't blabber saying that I got to learn this much. He says, please teach me. That is a true student, knowing fully that he has understood a great deal. But when he goes down, pranipatena, he's purely going down and asking to teach. It's a good question. Thank you.
Shashi, one more comment on the
Yes.
Kaivalya.
Uh-huh.
One meaning of Kaivalya is liberation or moksha.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the Sri Rama mantra,
Uh-huh.
Kaivalya mantra manisham bhaja Rama mantram.
Mm-hmm.
The Rama mantram is a Kaivalya mantra.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting to me, because that essentially says that if we meditate on Sri Rama, Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama,
Right, exactly.
that also leads you to liberation. And I'll talk about it later when you talk about dhyana.
Trayodasha mantra, you're right.
Yeah. Your Shraddha, Bhakti, and Dhyana.
Yeah.
So there are a number of little pieces that can all be put together to make a composite of the whole thing. So Kaivalya, I understood when I read the Upanishad, I understood as it's an Upanishad that teaches you about freedom.
As a matter of fact, Prasanna, in context, what you said, it is Rama who taught this Upanishad to Hanuman.
Oh,
that is what the story goes, okay?
I didn't know that.
And even though it's not in the top 10, his batting order is number 12, batting 12th cricket player after 11 team. He's a 12th. But really speaking, even if the 10 have been taken, Prasanna, everybody can have a different viewpoint. You see, Shankaracharya was more involved in rituals. So many of the Upanishads, like Ishavasya Upanishad, Kaivalya is much more powerful and much more practical for all of us to learn from. So something that I admire it greatly, learn a great deal from Kaivalya Upanishad. So that's the connection between Rama and talking about Kaivalya Upanishad, okay?
Thank you.
Dr. Sane, is there an English translation of this Upanishad I can get someplace?
I think you can go to internet and find out.
Internet
But
fine.
you see, remember, you can certainly get a book and read it. But this is every verse can go through about 20 pages of discussion, because
Sure.
what is important is you can go to the Indian grocery store and get basmati rice, but it's not the same as your wife cooking a beautiful rice for you, making pulao out of it. So it's
Sure.
totally different. So
Sure.
you have to read that as a grounding part of it.
Sure.
But the thing is, when you read, again, the person who has written is also important. So,
Okay. That's what I was asking.
the thing is, sometimes knowing anything is better than knowing something which is inaccurate, especially the people who may not have understood it. But at
Okay.
the same time, once you learn something, then go back and reread and then come back and ask questions.
Sure.
Then
Okay.
sometimes the commentary done by others is probably right, but your understanding is not correct.
Okay.
That's when you get clarification there. But if you read that first, sometimes you go in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Because you already dug up a hole for yourself. So the teacher has to really fill first and then try to build it on top of it.
Sure.
But
Okay.
you can go to internet to pick up any books.
Okay.
But the thing is, prepare yourself. I send you the text. I think Arun must have shared all the thing
Yes.
linked.
Yeah.
So read that one and read yourself any text you can get. But the key is participate in the discussion. So
Sure. Okay.